All right, so FunFest is just around the corner, and I wanted to make a video where I talk about job balance and what I think we can expect, what I would like to see in 6.0 in endwalker. Uh, I guess some stuff before that got changed, like I guessed the latest ninja changes. I guessed Red Mage idea of like being close and far when they announced it. There was some other stuff. Well, I made myself some notes. I told myself it's going to be short, but it ended up like 5,500 words. I just want to have something out there that I can refer to and say, well, like fucking called it. I'm mostly coming from a hardcore perspective, like Savage Raid, Ultimates. So like that's my perspective. I want jobs to be fun to play and function properly, and plebs don't deserve fun anyway. Let me put some music on. I think I'm gonna go through all of the jobs one by one, starting with Ninja, because well, that's a job I started playing the game with. That's the one I'm most familiar with. That's the one I raid with. That's the one I'm probably not gonna raid next year, but anyway. I think Ninja is the current Ninja is in a really good spot. Like the original Shadowbringer Ninja that came out was utter dogshit. It didn't function properly. You didn't have enough off globals. Your mudras would constantly drift. It was so fucking bad. But now it's really good. It's one of the best jobs, easily. The numbers that you do are pretty good, and it feels really nice to play. The best thing about the job, in my opinion, is how flexible the rotation is. So I would like them to keep it. Like, you can disengage and not lose uptime except for few auto attacks on the boss. It's really good. For some reason, you have the second best AoE in the game. Like in Heaven's Word, Ninja had fuck all AoE, and now it's almost as good as Black Mages. It's also undisputed best job for solo dungeon speedruns, which really no fucking one does. Because you have a trade that resets Shukuchi on Mudra cast basically, and passive movement speed. It beats any other job easily. It's not very hard to pick up. It's like moderate, I think, maybe easy to moderate. And there is stuff to learn, but the skill ceiling isn't insanely high, except unless you get into like ultra optimization with solo target dotons bursting outside of trick, shadowfang outside of trick, and stuff like that. But you're better off just playing the job properly and praying for crits. There is some bad stuff about the job. First of all, you have a bit too many buttons, in my opinion. You don't have enough of globals every odd trick to fit everything into it. Like I can probably show this. I did rotation and Adami, and every odd rotation you can't fit everything. Like even with off globals, you don't have enough. Like I have Ninki for one more Babak Acrobat. I can possibly fit it in without clipping, and it's only 15 potency gain for fitting Bava, so it's not worth the clip. Unless you know better that you will finish on the exact GCD and it's not going to miss GCD, but that's like the ultra optimization stuff that's should not really be taken into account. You're also very crit dependent, like absurdly crit dependent, probably the most crit dependent job, maybe as much as Machinist. The current Ninja in Dog in Eden 10 Savage has 77% crit chance on Hyoshu Ranru, which is absolutely fucking absurd. Like, to get decent parses, you you not only pray for crits, but it feels like a lot of outside of your control. You also rely on teammates to cooperate and burst into trick properly and synchronize their cooldowns. Like, obviously Square should not balance the jobs around parsing, but the RNG on your rotation is insane. Like, you can get like, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 DPS difference just based on crits, and that's what is actually not good for fights, I think, because that's a substantial amount of damage that can affect your kill. We had 2.1 wipes on Oracle of Darkness and 1.3, and like just another Hyosho crit could have maybe given us the clear. It's really upsetting, but they're squishing the stats in the next expansion, so hopefully that will go away. Another thing is that Bunshin misses half of the trick. Bunshin is really weird ability. It looks cool, the idea is cool, but like all Bunshin that they introduced was dogshit because you wanted to pop it on the second or third hit, if I remember correctly, to get the maximum usage out of it. Except it wasn't actually how it worked, and the tooltip just didn't tell you how much damage it does, and you thought it would like actually repeat the CD. Tooltips is a big issue in this game. There is a lot to improve with them. But the other reason why you're so crit dependent is because your rotation outside of trick is very slim. Not slim, slim is the wrong one. Like, you basically deal no damage, you spam 3 buttons, and that's all. And compared to your burst, it's nothing. Also, another thing about parsers, like it's only about the parsers, it's not something they should fix. Your rotation, if you imagine the graph of your DPS, it peaks every trick and then it goes down, and then it peaks and then it goes down. So like, if you want to a good parse, you need to kill the boss right as you end the trick, which is not very fun. But that's just a side note, just something I want to complain about. When I swapped from 530 weapon to 535, I did 4-minute DPS test on a dummy and ended up having 500 more DPS with an old weapon. That's just how crit dependent this job is. That's not very good for raids, I think. But enough about the job. What I want to see changed in endwalker. Actually, not much. In the current state, it's a really good job. It's probably the best ninjas have ever been, both like relative to other jobs and mechanically integral how it works together. What we definitely don't need is new off globals. We already have too many. Instead, I would rather have spells be upgraded, like, you know, on killers you go like from Malefic 1 to Malefic 4. What I would like to get instead is have the rotation be more interested outside of trick, and I think I have a solution. My idea is to have an extra finisher, probably a side position. I'll talk about positions later unless I remove them actually. And what it would do, it would be worse but then Aeolian, like maybe, I don't know, 380 potency, but it would give 200 potency to Baba Kakra or so. First of all, it would make it so, well, you press different buttons. Like you you get 15 ink in 2.5 combos. Every 7.5 hits, like depending if it's these two or this one. So it would mean you will have to press some other button every now and then, which is pretty nice. And another thing is that the lining up Baba Kakra with streak will have more importance because it would be, well, 500 instead of 300. And Mag can work the same way, that it, like, each does the same, gives you Ninki, small damage, but it also enhances the next Baba Kakra. So that way you can always prep 2 Baba Kakras for trick, which is like, you know, 400 extra potency into trick, which is quite nice to do, and it would just generally make the job more interesting to play. Thing is, currently you already can't really fit everything into Trick, so it's kind of contradictory to what I want, but I would rather miss another Bavakakra. Like, you can come into Trick with 100 Ninki and Mag and a prepped combo, so you can do prepped combo Bavakakra, Mag Bavakakra, and that's all. The last one you can miss, that's whatever, no biggie. What else? Assassinate can be completely removed. It always was a weird ability, and now it's just 200 potency on top. Like, it just wastes an off global. It also locks you on an animation like a Dragoon, but like, it's not super long. This tier didn't matter at all. Actually, no. In Dog there is a place where it's 4 dogs in the corners with like squiggly and straight lines and orbs, and there you need, as the first AoE goes off and you rotate 90 degrees, you need to eyeball your position and assassinate there, which I haven't died to it, I think, but it fucking scares me every time. But anyway, that's a side note. Yeah, assassinate can be completely removed. I don't see any fucking purpose in this ability currently. A friend suggested that Kasatsu can be also removed, because what it currently does is also just wasting your sorry, I just want to hear some music. It kind of wastes your slot, because except for Alex's ultimate, you use Hyosho, and except for dungeons, you use Hyosho. The Goka is kinda pointless. I mean, it's nice to have, I like it. The visual effect is actually really nice, big fan. But what you can do is instead have like 2 separate buttons and not waste an extra off global. It makes it so your hotbar is more filled, which is not very nice. Like, I would like in general to have less buttons on a hotbar without dumbing down the jobs, obviously. But that's one way to free up an extra slot. You can just have them as separate spells. The idea is cool, but you know, not much point in it. The other thing is, it would be nice to have more self-alignment with Trick Attack. I did some math. The #1 DPS ninja in Dog, well, at least back when I wrote the notes for myself, lost only 500 or 600 DPS, depending on how it counts, by, like, if you remove the Trick bonus from yourself, you lose like 3% of your DPS. Like, lining up with Trick after now that it's 5% and not 10 is kinda not a big deal. It used to be 10 seconds, but whatever. It would nice to be... It would nice for it to be more important, because like the top DPS would still be like 98% parse without Trick bonus, which is silly. There is few ways I think it can be done. Like, it can apply the debuff for 5%, but it could also give you yourself a buff for 5%. So you yourself would get 10% damage bonus, which would make it better. The other way is make the trick work like what's it called? Wildfire. Machine is Wildfire, but ideally it would include abilities, so of globals, and at the end it would like pop for an extra tick. Like, one of those two would be cool, I think. There is some like general stuff that can be fixed, mostly Shukuchi. On paper, it's the best cap closer in the game because you can go anywhere. Like, you can use it to disengage from the boss and without like fear of falling off like Red Mage, Dragoon, Samurai. But in practice, it's the worst cap closer in the game. The reason being that it The reason being that it has a long cast time, and if you want to cancel, like on a normal job, to cancel knockback, you see knockback on your character, you press a button, you gap close. Like it's super fucking easy. Come on. It's super easy, but on a ninja, you can't cast. You can't cast Shukuchi as you are getting knocked back, which, you know, it makes it really hard to time. You need to start casting it before the knockback happened, but finish it casting after the knockback happened, which makes it, like, I don't know, too hard in some places. I've gotten used to it. I can do it pretty consistently. The only scary part is Eden 12 knockback from the statues into release, because that one is really tricky to time. There is like very little visual cues. Like my way to do it is play the fight 6 minutes perfectly without uptime and like go by GCD. Counting GCDs is really important on the ninja, but I think it should stay that way. I really like it because you always know, like, depending on where you are in your rotation, what's gonna happen next in the fight and how much time you'll have in the boss, when you can disengage and whatnot. Counting GCDs is very important in melees in general. Like, you can't even use a macro to cancel knockback if like you got stuck in the knockback animation. Another thing that would be really cool, in WoW there is a mouse over macro, which basically, like, my macro targets the target, like teleports me to the target I'm targeting. In WoW there is a way to place an AoE under your cursor, like, so if I would like to have it so when I press the macro I get teleported to the cursor where I'm hovering, which, you know, it's easier than like trying to eyeball it. Another thing is that's really not important in Savage Fights. It's important just like for moving around the dungeons. It's like, it would be nice so if you cast it outside of the range, it would just teleport you max range in that direction. Like, a lot of spells in MOBAs work that way, and I think that's something they could take. But I am absolutely 100% sure that Shukuchi will not be improved next expansion because, you know, Square, small indie company. I said a lot about Ninja, but the rest of the jobs will be shorter, I think, because there is few jobs that I'm rather proficient with, and others I just play semi-casually. Next one is Samurai. I picked it up this tier, actually. I haven't rated it, but like, I've done some Savage Fights and all extremes, I think, on it. Yeah, it's really good. I think it's currently the best melee. It's competitive with Ninja in terms of numbers. Like, raw number Samurai, insane damage, right? But because of the Triku utility and you wanting to have 2 melees quite often, Samurai and Ninja are like the spot for 2 best jobs. But I think internally Samurai works even better. The rotation is super interesting with how you can delay your stuff. There is a concept of looping, right? That you have your quote-unquote burst phase every minute. We surround it around, how's it called, Higanbana? Oh yeah, you can see it here. Yeah, Higanbana, and you need to loop, and depending on your GCDs, you need to do some extra filler stuff. Like, sometimes it's an extra 3-hit combo, it's sometimes 2-hit combo, sometimes it's this spell and this ability. It's super cool, and like, depending on the fight and how much you had to disengage, like, sometimes it makes, like, sometimes you want to pop your Hagakure here, sometimes you want to pop it like later, sometimes like you don't do what your looping suggests and do something else. But it's really flexible, it's super nice, and it's super cool. There is... I think it's harder to pick up the ninja, actually, like to play it properly, because there is a lot of moving parts and rotation is kind of long and more complicated. And ideally, you also want to know multiple openers, because the standard Higan Mana first opener doesn't work, for example, in Eden 9 at all. Your burst comes up as soon, like at the time, but you need to move for the Viance, basically, and you need to do something else. So, like, in my opinion, I think it's good. Like, it adds depth to the job, and I hope that it will stay that way. I'm not really an expert at the job, so I don't have much criticisms and like things that can be improved. My issues with the job is, well, first of all, you have too many fucking glowing buttons. Like, you press this, everything lights up. You have your gap closer, shoha, like this, I think, like too many fucking glowing buttons. I don't think it can be changed to removed, but like, you know, to pick out the job, it's kind of scary. And that's why a lot of friends who like are decent at the game don't want to play the job because they are uncomfortable with it. The other thing is all of these ability names I don't like. I go by yellow button, orange button, blue button, green button. That's how I play the job, because I'm not a gaijin. I'm a stupid gaijin. This means nothing to me. It would be cool to have them translated, but it's probably not gonna happen. And you know, preserving the culture and all that. One thing that you can say about the job is that this spell is absolutely fucking useless. You'll never use it. I would like to make it useful, but I don't know how to make it work with regular Higan Mana. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this can have like two charges and this 2 minute and this minute, and I don't know, it's complicated. I don't know the job enough to propose good suggestions, but something a bit about the skill should be done. Other thing is, I don't know what you can fit into the next into rotation. I feel like if you remove anything, it's gonna break, and if you add anything, it's gonna break. Like, up until Shoha fixes, the Samurai was annoying to play because you couldn't loop properly. Oh, sorry, you could loop properly, but Shoha was useless. And before, like at the start of the expansion, I think you couldn't actually loop properly. And I feel like that's gonna be the thing with the next expansion. I don't know, maybe you get third Midare because big anime slashes look cool, and that's what brings people to the game. No, anyway. Dragoon. I think it's currently the worst melee. Not mechanically, that's Monk, but on numbers, like you have lowest DPS. That's silly. The other thing is playing at 2.5 GCD, well, my 237, because I don't have a separate set from my Samurai. But playing at 2.5 GCD, that's like the proper Dragoon beast, I think. Feels really slow compared to other melees, but that at the same time, it's the easiest job to pick up, and 2.5 like helps people to pick it up. Like, I know, like, most of them of my friends who don't play melee play Dragoon because they find it the easiest and most comfortable. There is a bunch of issues. I'm not very proficient with it, but like, it's so simple. I think it's not very hard to see. The biggest issue is that your GCD rotation is completely inflexible. You are at the mercy of fights for your combos, and you have a 5-hit combo, right? You can shuffle some stuff with, like, whether you pop Nastrond before or like after some jumps. I don't remember how it exactly works. I remembered when I was playing it. You can, there is some flexibility with that, but with GCDs like boss, Cassini, like dog, like for Beach Pog 2, you go out for the AoE around the boss, and then you go out for Beach Pog, and then you go out for towers. You just look at your combo and cry in not playing Ninja or Samurai, mostly Ninja. That would be cool to get fixed next expansion, to actually have flexible rotation and or some disengagement options, because like now you don't have anything ranged other than Piercing Talon. Like Samurai doesn't have anything special, but this feels nice to press because well, there is something to it. Like you need to keep your Kenki and like buffs your skill, and it deals a decent damage. Like it's not a huge waste. In like as a Dragoon, you don't have any options. I don't exactly know how you can fix your rotation. Like you need something to buffer your combos. Maybe some ranged option, like maybe you can have range, Piercing Talon, have like a follow-up combo, like 2-hit combo, and not break your main combo. That would be cool. Generally, every melee, like melee and tanks, I think the ranged ability should not break the combo because, I don't know, why? It feels like such an outdated thing. Like it deals fuck all damage anyway. And you can't, usually you can't plan around it, like you just at the mercy of a fight design. Yeah, so flexible combo, disengagement options, and numerical buffs. That's what I would like to see next expansion. And what I wouldn't like to see is another fucking animation locking jump and like 6 combo. That would be dumb. The last melee is Wonk. It got reworked, but I still think it's a really bad job. Like your numbers are alright, but there is like 4 monk mains, like 1 of them my friends, and like 3 of them are balance mentors. Basically, no one else plays this fucking job, or at least seriously. It's bad. It doesn't work. It just internally doesn't work. I don't understand the Grease Lightning change. It was completely irrelevant. Like in a proper fight, you would never lose Grease 4 ever. Why did they change it? Like Fist of Wind are completely useless now. They were useless before, except for openers, re-openers, but at least that was something. And like next expansion, I would like them to do something with Fist of Wind. The changes they made, they didn't fix why the job was bad at all. But anyway, I'll get to that in a second. It's a really easy job to pick up, I think. Like the only issue is that you press buttons really fast compared to other jobs, but you get used to it. And it's really easy to play well. Like it's really easy to parse on the job, I think, and to moderately, because there is almost no optimization on the job. Right, issues. Obvious stuff. Perfect balance lasts longer than twin snakes. Why? This is dumb. Inevitable demolish drops during perfect balance. Again, why? It just doesn't work. Anatman is useless. It was shitty the way you had to use it in the opener, but now it's like it's not even meditate. It doesn't give you anything. It's, I don't know. It needs to give. It would be cool for it to give you something like meditate or improvisation and dancer. Tornado kick should not be 45 seconds. It makes no sense for it to be 45 seconds. Either 30, 60, just make it fucking line up. Like make the job work. Why? Chakra constantly overcaps in Brotherhood. You can't do anything about it except getting lucky. Like you can play around it. Like there is an easy fix to just make you have like 6 or 7 stacks and make the forbidden chakra consume 5 like it currently does. That's like the obvious fix. Like you get 2 extra chakras at the start of the fight. Who cares? Like it's 0.001 DPS increase. No one gives a shit. And yeah, as I said, the high level optimization almost non-existent. Like you can press the buttons and then you order like, yeah, you have Riddle of Fire, but there is no like variation in your GCD damage. Like even during perfect balance, like if you picture the graph of Monk, it's small bumps, perfect balance, small bump, perfect balance. It's a straight line basically. like even if you misalign with Riddle of Fire, like you can pop it at any time in your rotation, and the difference compared to using them optimally is kind of relevant. It's 25%, but still, because of how the job works. The other thing that really annoys me about the Monk is visual clarity. Like when you're in perfect balance with like Riddle of Fire, Riddle of Earth, it's usually around the time when you have some raid cooldowns going on, or like some boss mechanics and like some debuffs on you. And like there is so many fucking buffs on you, you can't really see if you have Leaden Fist or like what combo you're in, or like whether you have Twin Snakes or not. Like that stuff should be on the job gauge. Like you should have a job gauge for Twin Snakes like every other job does. Like why is it still here? And you can also have like a small checkbox on, like, you know, like Black Mages have polyglot things. Like you can have a similar thing for Monk, for Leaden Fist. Like the stuff like that should not be in the game. They should be improved. But I don't know. I would like to see it happen, but probably won't happen. You can also put the 3 forms in here, but it's not a big deal. That one is kind of easy. And like, it doesn't matter for people who play the job, obviously, because you committed your rotation to muscle memory. Like you always know like what GCD you're in, like whether you have Leaden Fist or not. But it just makes things like good players don't lose anything from it, and it makes the game enjoyable for everyone else. It's not very fun to play in my opinion, for the same reasons as Dragoon. Your rotation is completely inflexible. Unlike Dragoon, you have disengagement option. I like 6-sided star a lot. I think it's a really cool idea, and like Square, a good job for actually adding it. But yeah, other than that, you press the same buttons every fight in the same order, and like sometimes you disengage. It would be nice to have like some kind of proper burst and some way to adjust for a fight, like Samurais. I don't know. Other thing that I want to talk about is positionals for melees in general. I have a feeling that they will remove positionals in the next expansion. They kinda, I feel like with DR, Delubrum, Savage, they are testing in it. And like I cleared Delubrum Savage, and there is no positionals in there, and like no one is like, oh man, I really wish I could do some fucking positionals right now. Like it's so bad without positionals, so no, please give them back. And like in general, I feel like if the mechanic, if something in the game is not fully fleshed out, you should probably cut it. And you can't do much with positionals, like it's so irrelevant. Like as a Bonk, you can sit on the face of the boss, like with True North and Riddle of Earth for like a minute. In Eden 9, as a ninja, like so it happened, during the empty plane phase, I sit on the face of the boss, and like throughout the phase, I lose like 60 potency to extra armor crashes over Aeolians. Like it's nothing. It doesn't affect your damage a lot. That's like one auto attack crit basically. That's the whole difference that it makes. Monks have like bigger potency drops off, like 30 instead of 20. Wait, what? Actually, wait, no, sorry, no. The positions may make even less sense on Monk. It's on Ninja, it's 60 potency for missed positional. On Monk, it's 30. Like it's so dumb. It basically don't lose anything. Like this, like you can't do anything about positionless in Savage fights. So like just fucking remove it. I feel like there is no purpose in it. Just make the jobs themselves interesting. Like Samurai is really interesting to play because how your rotation works and how you need to adjust to the fight. And like adjusting to the fight, I'm not talking about like being on the side or in the back, because like that stuff doesn't matter. Just make the jobs I mean, it's easier to say than to do, but I feel like that should be the focus of design, not positions. Just cut them. Like we lost TP this expansion, right? And I don't feel like I lost anything important. The game just feels much better now. Like you don't need to think about it in the dungeons, in fight. It wasn't a fleshed out mechanic. There were nothing to it. Like you just go your other dead melee and that's all. That's it. There were nothing to it. I'm just looking at the notes in case I forgot something. Oh yeah, back to Monk. I feel like Twin Snake should be longer and Demolish should be longer, because so they can actually fit in perfect balance. And there is some that actually adds some flexibility in the rotation. You need some filler. Yeah, like I said, Anatman reworked. I don't know, Gun or reworked. Maybe make it like into a DPS cooldown. I don't know. Oh, yeah, actually I have a good idea in the notes. You have Fists of Wind and Fist of Fire. Maybe have it so different skills have different effects in different stances. Like you could basically have two stances. Like sometimes you're on fire, doing like burst. Sometimes you are in wind. Maybe like building another resource. I don't know. That would actually add a lot of flexibility to the job, and like you can do so much with it. But you know, I had the same codes for Stormblood with 2 poisons on a ninja, so that you would have to swap them. But they just removed the poisons. Also, sorry, they removed them this expansion, but I mean, poisons were irrelevant. Yeah. Yeah, it's like Paladin with Requiescat and Fight or Flight. In general, about melees, I think they are fun to play. I enjoy playing melees the most. But I know that a lot of people prefer ranged or casters. I don't really know why. Like, I want to say that people are afraid to be close to the boss, but that's absolutely not true, especially in Savage raids. Like, you almost always stay on the back of the boss because, like, for raid mitigation, for Cure 3 and stuff like that. So, like, for real players, it's not the real thing. I don't know, maybe... I guess it's not for everyone to, like, have a more strict rotation compared to, like, casters that have more flexible rotations or ranged. And like as a melee, it's absolutely crucial that you count GCDs, and that's not a thing on casters and ranged. So I don't know, maybe that's why. I would like Monk and Dragoon to be more close to Ninja and Samurai in terms of viability, because currently they are not very viable. What else? Oh yeah, melee uptime meme. Like, it's a meme, right? People always joke about it, but I think it's a whole point. Like, ranged don't have uptime. I'll get to that later with mobility tags, but casters have uptime, and your uptime is called not fucking moving unless you're playing Summoner. But like, that's the whole idea of a job, to stay on the boss, and like sometimes you're forced to disengage. But Ninja have options, Samurai has options, Monk kinda has options, like 6-sided is good, but rotation is inflexible. Like, that's the whole point. Like, you have, like, every boss fight in this game is a puzzle, right, with how mechanics work and how you deal with them. And rotations are, melee rotation is essentially puzzles too, with how you deal with having to disengage. I think it should be kept in the game. It just, you need tools to deal with it, and Dragoon has none, and Monk could have it better. Other thing, Feint is kinda useless. Like, every A in the game since Heavensward, well, at least I think every, is magical damage. The reason being that casters have lower... where is it? They have lower physical defense and lower HP, so they would die to physical AoEs, while it wouldn't kill melee or ranged job. which is why, so that's why every AoE is physical. Oh, sorry, magical. And some of the tank busters are not physical, and some of the auto attacks are not physical, like in diamond weapon, for instance. There is no physical damage at all. Well, except for the second phase, yeah, there is physical damage there. But I don't know, just there is not much use to it. Like, I don't like when things don't have much use. Like, I would like it to have purpose, but currently there is not much to it. Other thing being, without access to forbidden third-party programs, you can't really know which damage is physical or magical, I think. I don't think there is, in the combat log, there is an indicator of whether the damage is physical or magical. At least I'm not aware of it. Like, you don't even know when to use Feint or Addle. You could, on a cast bar, on an enemy, you could have it colored like they added for interruptible spells. They could have it colored like red for physical or blue for magical, and like, I don't know, purple for pure damage. What else? It's getting back to the ninja. Ninja used to be like this quote-unquote utility job in Heavensward with aggro mitigation, like you had Silhouette and Smoke Bomb, but with the current reworks in Shadowbringers for tanking, like aggro management is not an issue anymore. And honestly, I like it that way. I didn't feel like it was fleshed out in Stormblood enough. Like, I remember having to smoke people, like having to smoke my samurai so that he doesn't rip the aggro off, but the reviewer no depth to it. Like, if aggro management would be more complex, fine, but it was more complex in like Heavensward and Realm Reborn, and it wasn't fun, it wasn't clunky. Like, it's one of those things that been gone for good, I think. Some people don't like the tank slow aggro management, but I'll get to that. What else? Oh yeah, why is Lancer set separately? Like, it's really annoying to have Lancer separate set for themselves, but I guess the new melee job will share it, probably, most likely. It will be extremely hard to balance 5 melee jobs in the next expansion. But I hope that the new job and like the general idea is that the melee jobs are flexible, have disengagement options, and that they are fast, like 2.5 GCD. Sorry, it's too slow. I can't play it. Yeah, that's all I had to say about melees. Holy shit, I've been talking for 40 minutes and I have like fucking 15 jobs more. Yeah, Gunbreaker and tanks. Really fucking good. Gunbreaker was the first tank I picked up in Shadowbringers, and it's basically a blue ninja. Like, it works the same with alignment with no mercy. But yeah, it's really good. It's really good because you have an actual rotation and it works really well. Like, there is a little bit flexibility with how you delay your burst strikes. And with how you pop your no mercy, like, you can sometimes delay it, play around with it. It's good, it's really good. It was a little bit unpopular when it came out. I have some ideas why, I'll get to them. But now it's really popular for like speedruns and speed kills because it's the highest DPS tank. You have quite good utility. Actually, camouflage is really good for like auto attacks and for dungeons. Like, it's still important to balance stuff for dungeons, right? So like, it's nice to have it, but mostly auto attacks. Aurora is clemency worth of healing. Like it's 1200 potency heal over 18 seconds. Which is like, imagine if Paladins had like a Clemency, like a second win. That would be cool. Heart of Stone is really fucking good. It's almost as good as TBN. The reason being, where is Dark Knight? Like TBN is 25%, right? And this one is only 15, but you can also buff it with Heart of Shell, which is like extra 5% or so of your HP for one hit, and it doesn't pop like TBN. So like if you have a Buster and, I don't know, 2 hits, it can actually be more worth of mitigation than TBN. So this ability is really cool. I feel like it's the best DPS tank to pick up switching from a DPS job, because it has an actual rotation. Oh, I already kind of said it. Tank swapping is a little bit annoying because it fucking always happens during Nashing combo. And like if you don't know better, you need to like hit Nashing, Royal Guard, continuation, second hit, like provoke, and I don't know. And then Heart of Stone. Ideally, it's minor. It's not an issue. Something I wanted to complain about. And the other thing also I think I wanted to complain about is Balance Opener. It's fucking dumb. It makes no sense. You pop Nashing combo like 2 hits into into the opener and you miss like everything, every raid buff. It's dumb. Don't do it. Basically, the later you use it, the better it is. I feel like the job has almost no issues. Like my biggest issue is lightning shot not being a fucking shot. Hello, like gunbreak, just make it shoot. It's dumb. Aurora is kinda irrelevant. Like it's 1200 potency heal on paper, but in practice it's less, because you will, like after Buster, you will get topped by healers inevitably, just because they heal so much. And there is usually not enough sustain damage. Like, there is no fight where you take auto attacks for 18 seconds straight, I think. So I don't know, make it shorter but heal for more would be cool. Like you could actually save some people with it, because like if someone is low because they took a hit and they are not topped within 18 seconds, like they're gonna die, and Aurora isn't gonna save you. A lot of double weaving, like it's arguable whether double weaving good or bad. I don't think you can do much about it, just that don't add more. That's it. Like as it is now, it's fine. Rough Divide is a little bit shitty. There is a tiny bit delay on the start, like it's hard to see, but like when you play the job a lot, it's just something you can feel. Plunge and like Dark Knight's Plunge and Samurai's Gap Closer are instant, and it would be nice that other Gap Closer are that way too. Maybe they will improve it. Like sometimes they improve it as well. Like they fixed Mudras and Shukuchi a little bit. Could be still better. I always come back to Ninja. What I would like to see is more charge-related mechanics, because now it's kind of insignificant. Like the charge management isn't really an issue. It would be nice for it to be more complex. Like you probably need some other way to spend it, other than Burst Strike. Would be cool to have something that consumes 2 charges for like really, really massive hit. That way it would add depth to the job again, right? So that when you come into your No Mercy, you need to have like 2 charges, use one on Nashing, and then you also need to finish another combo to get a second charge to use it on big hit. That would be cool. I don't like Bloodfest band 90-second cooldown, but it's not a big deal. But almost everything in the game is on a minute or 2 minute or 3 minute cooldowns. There is like only a few 3 minute cooldowns, but whatever. Everything that's like 45 or 90 seconds just feel clunky. It ends up drifting usually. Like, make it 60. It wouldn't break the job, it wouldn't break the balance. Like, if they add something that consumes 2 charge, that would be cool. Like, it could be a trait that reduces cooldown. Or maybe it could, like, if you use it, like, it upgrades Burst Strike to something else, right? Like, you could do more with charges, basically. That's what I would like to do. Everything else works fine, just don't touch it. Maybe, like, upgrade some skills, like you have it on casters, if you want, like, bigger numbers. Yeah. Dark Knight. Exceptional for prog. This is the best tank to prog on for, well, you know, TBN. It's decent to play. I am not huge fan. I'll get to it, but it's alright. It's like, it doesn't feel terrible to play like some other jobs like Monk, Dragoon, and some stuff later on. It's really easy to pick up. I'll explain why soon. What else? TBN, like this is an absurd skill. It needs to be nerfed, I think. And as I said, Flange has no ending or starting. Like, yeah, that's like the pros of the job. I think that the biggest issue is that there is no self-alignment. You can press your buttons in any order, and it will result in the same parts. Yes, you ideally, like in a proper group, you want to line up with your raid cooldowns, but it naturally happens by Delirium being, by Blood Weapon being 60 seconds cooldown. So you just like prep some mana and do some Edge of Shadows. But you don't really have a burst. Your burst is so small that you get like, I don't know, 1-2% overall DPS increase. I would love to have some self-alignment. Delirium should not be 90. No, it doesn't align. Why? It's dumb. I also don't like Delirium. Like, it's the, like, all tanks except for Gunbreaker have this thing, right? You press the thing and you spam one skill for 10 seconds. It should be reworked. There should be something done with it. Like, instead, it should maybe... I'm looking at the notes, sorry. What were my ideas? Yeah, like, first of all, these should work like Bunshin, because unless you hit a specific GCD, you miss on the last hit of Blood Weapon. It's dumb. Why? Just make it work like Bunshin. Delirium too. As I said, it needs self-alignment, because currently the dark side is up 100% without, like, you don't even think about it. Like, it's naturally up by not overcapping mana. Like, what would be nice for dark side be a buff? Or maybe like Delirium giving you a dark side as a buff and be 60 second cooldown, and this then can be just a filler and it doesn't give you the damage buff. Yeah, that's my idea of fixing the job. What else you can add? I don't really know. There is stuff you can remove, like Abyssal Drain is kinda useless. Dark Mind, it's not really iconic for Dark Knight, but it's not very useful. There is some magical busters, and it's really nice. Like in Diamond Weapon, it's really fucking good. But it could be gone, and it wouldn't make much of a difference. What else? Blackest Knight needs to be nerfed, probably like to 20%. It's like too fucking strong. Would be nice to have an incentive for putting it on other people, because currently it's not a DPS game to use TBN, like theoretically, like for your DPS that is, and you risk it not popping sometimes. Technically, it saves some DPS for your group because healers have to heal less, which is important. You absolutely should use Blackest Night, but I don't know, maybe it should do like 200 potency explosion around the target when it pops. So it's like minor DPS gain. That would be nice. Unmanned and lightning shot and all these ranged skills, I feel like they should not break the combo just for disengagement purposes. Salty Earth is kinda shitty. It's 300 potency, like compared to 1200 potency on Sonic Break on Gunbreaker. Yeah, I don't know what they can add to the job. I only feel like they can remove and rework some stuff. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Paladin. It's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. The reason being that it also has an actual rotation. It's not as satisfying as Gunbreaker, in my opinion, but I know some really good Paladin players, and like the skill ceiling on Paladin is actually really high, like the highest of all tanks. It has an option for disengagement as well, like Red Quest Cut. It's really fucking good. I wish like other tanks had it. Yeah. What else? There is a bunch of issues, but they are all kinda minor. Like cover is kinda useless. Sorry, I'll go along with my notes. Cover is kinda pointless, but it's unique, so it can stay. Requiscat and Fight or Flight, I feel like they should be explained better to people. Maybe like have them on a job gauge as different meters and have an explanation at the job gauge that you should use these with physical spells and the Requiscat with magical spells and don't use them together. Like, it's not important to me, it just makes the job better to pick up to other people. Sheltron is the worst small cooldown for tanks. Like, you have TP and you have Heart of Stone and like Raw Intuition. Sheltron is just worse. Intervene is shit too. It's 10%, unlike 15 on Heart of Stone. It lasts 1 second less. It's only as good if you pop your fucking Rampart, and it doesn't provide a small shield. I feel like these two abilities should be one. They like there is no reason for them to be separate. You still need to pop Divine Veil for some reason. Like, it's other raid mitigation that tanks have is 10% too. This one works on physical damage, but there is no raid physical damage. Like, it's completely fucking irrelevant. Just make it a 10% shield, and others you could, like Dark Missionary, Heart of Light, just make them all types of damage too. I don't know. Requiscat have this weird requirement that you need to have your MP 80% or higher. Why? It's completely irrelevant. Like, it's probably to prevent extra clement usage, but it's just so fucking clunky. Like, there is no reason for it to be there. Just make it a regular fucking cooldown. And another thing with Requiscat, it probably should be like Bunshin as well, because like it's 12 seconds and you only cast 5 spells, so it's like really easy to time, unlike Blood Weapon and Delirium. But I feel like it just should be better and symmetrical to other jobs if it would be on stacks. And the other thing is that the Requiscat phase is really weak to Fight of Flight. Like, either nerf Atonement or buff Holy Spirit, or ideally, I don't know, maybe an extra magic spell. That would be nice to have. Here is a thing about job gauge. Using certain action will increase oath gauge. There is no action that increases oath gauge at all. Like, this is just flat out wrong. Tooltips need a lot of work in this game. I hope they do something about them in the next expansion. And speaking of Paladin job gauge, it's really underwhelming now. There is not much point in it. Like, this doesn't, like, if they wouldn't cause job gauge, the job would work exactly the same way. What would be cool to have job gauge work like Ninja, where instead of auto attacks, your weapon skills should give you a gauge. So it's like not random when you get an extra proc. And you would be cool to have some skills to, like DPS skills to spend your mana on. Maybe like a magical of global that you can do between holy spirits. This button is also useless. It needs some, like, restores MP. It doesn't do fucking anything. You cut MP anyway. Like, remove it or rework it. It needs to do something. Yeah, I think that's all. Like, I feel like I'm pretty close to guessing what they're gonna do is like buffing Requiescat. Like, we're probably gonna buff Requiescat next expansion and maybe like rework job gauge, because currently it's really fucking bad. Also fix Veil. Also, you're really tight on skill speed for proper looping. I mean, I don't know how exactly tight, but it's annoying. I'm not a fan, but I don't think it can be reworked, and it's not a big deal. Anyway, moving on. Warrior. Easily was the worst tank, but at the same time, it's also one of the easiest jobs to play. And side tangent. When I was thinking about making this video, I was thinking like maybe I should like showcase some gameplay, like hit the damage, something. But like Warrior has no fucking no open or no rotation. But this is why a lot of people play it. Like, I feel like people pick it up because it's so easy. The good thing that it's the best job for dungeons or like dungeon speedruns because of the self-healing. I'll get to self-healing. I have some stuff to say about it. Actually, it's like right next to the thing in the notes. There is a lot of issues with the job, and mostly around the healing. Is that it does not prevent you from getting one-shotted. Like, other tanks have extra cooldowns, and you have some extra cooldowns actually, but all your healing is kind of relevant. Like, the healing on Stormpath is nice for sustain. The same way, like, you have Brutal Shell and Soul Litter. That part should stay. Nascent Flash is satisfying for dungeons, but it doesn't bring anything to real rates. Like, Equilibrium is nice to have, but usually doesn't do much. It like sells saves and off global on like Astro, I don't know. You also don't have any co-tank mitigation, unlike Heart of Stone, Intervene, TPN. What else? Overwhelm is dog shit. It should not be a cone. Like, it's so annoying to hit enemies with it. Just make it a fucking circle. I don't care that like old enemies have Overwhelm marked on the ground as a cone. Just whatever, who cares? Like, I legit think they don't rework it into a circle because like Heavensward and ARR mobs have a ability called Overpower, and it marked as a cone on the ground. Like, that can actually be a reason. What else? Storm's Eye in dungeons. It's super fucking annoying, then you need to apply it. I know why they didn't make it so this applies Storm Path, because then it would be a part of the opener. But I don't know, make you have an actual rotation, so like it's important to actually use this in the opener. I don't know. Anyway, no rotation. Like your rotation is Unga Bunga, me fell cliff 9 times in a row. That's not a rotation square. And speaking of rotation wise, inner release on 90 seconds, like your whole job revolves around inner release, but it doesn't line up with anything. Like it lines up every like it's every 4 minutes basically. So like at the start 4 minutes into the fight, at 8 minutes into the fight, it's like on top of that you have potions at 4.5. So I don't know, she just doesn't stack. Potions should be 4 or 5 by the way, for the same reasons. Self-healing needs rework. Maybe instead of healing, have a way to convert healing into a shield. So you can use that as a cooldown. That way you can like plan your rotation around like damage you take. Maybe make it possible to give the shield to a core tank to provide them with mitigation. Like tank, but they kinda dumped down cooldown usage this expansion. It has nothing to do with how they rework tanks. It just like there is not enough busters, not enough auto attacks. They did something interesting in Diamond Weapon Extreme with how you need to split into 2 groups, and so it would be cool to have more of that, like having to plan mitigation and your cooldowns. Like there is terminal relativity, or like how's it called, Almighty Judgment in Alex, like the 1000 damage stacks after Trions. Like there it's important to plan your mitigation, but it would be nice to have more of that. And like by having shields instead of heals, you could do more with it. Maybe like, or you need to need constant outgoing damage. With the changes to healers later, that might happen, but probably won't. But yeah, heals into shields, that's my idea. And yeah, rework the whole rotation. I don't exactly know. Like basically, you can come up with anything, literally anything, and it would make the job better. Like make it 60 cooldown, make it, I don't know, have something to do with your other skills. I don't know. I haven't exactly come up with something unique, but anything will work. Probably something like more resource gainers and spenders, because now you have this and that's it for gainers. Well, in your regular combo, and like this I don't know, feel like you could do more with it. Like you could have a whole rotation with love globals, like you have fans on Dancer. Overall, tank thoughts. I feel like they are pretty balanced, except for Warrior that's falling behind because like less cooldowns, and it's like actually the lowest DPS. But overall they're kinda compatible. Like if you don't think about like being super optimal, they are fine. You don't exactly shoot yourself in the leg by bringing any of them. That's nice. I would hope they keep it. Next expansion. There is some mixed opinions about tank changes in Shadowbringers. And that is how they lost identity. This how like you have similar cooldowns, having similar rate mitigation. Also like getting back to rate mitigation, like Warrior shield is 15% and Paladin shield is 10%, and you need to pop it. Like why? And you can even buff it up to 21. Just like make Veil better. Like this is your identity. Personally, I don't feel like it's a big deal that your cooldown management stuff is symmetrical, because otherwise you need to design every fight around every tank and like every possible composition, and you can't really do that. So by focusing on the one same skill set, you can do more complex stuff. They don't do any complex stuff, but they can. I feel like it's not about tanks, it's about like fight design. Like the identity should be in your rotation, I feel like. And Gunbreaker and Paladin have identity. Warrior and Dark Knight not so much. The other thing is aggro management. Essentially, aggro is not a thing anymore. I personally like it, because before Shadowbringers I haven't tanked much, and you were supposed to drop off your tank stance and do like power slashes instead of solitaires in Shadowbringers, which added some depth to the job, but it was really straightforward, to be honest, in my opinion. Like, you just watch like the aggro bar and yell at DPS, and people use their cooldown, oh, it's not cooldown, aggro reduction, but it felt clunky. It wasn't complex, it was clunky, in my opinion. I don't feel like it was fun. And the other thing is like dropping tank stance. It's I was completely fine with it with like real content like extremes or savages, but in casual dungeons and like for casual players, like imagine like you pull 2 packs of mobs and you drop off tank stance and you just fucking melt even with cooldowns, and like, oh shit, I better put back on my tank stance. Like healers complaining about it. I feel like we lost a little bit, but in the end I feel like we ended up with a better, smoother gameplay. I like it, but not everyone does, but you know, I just wanted to address that. It's so gun to the point that Short could actually kinda low-key be gun, because Provoke gives you a little bit aggro on top of top person now, but I don't know, it's probably gonna stay. But yeah, in the end, like, make cooldowns similar and make job more unique with DPS rotations. I don't want to split this video in 2 parts and render it together, and I need to take a break, so just listen to the fucking music or like skip ahead, I don't care. No one's gonna watch it anyway, right? You weren't supposed to see that. Yeah, next up. Healers. Boy, do I have some really strong opinions about healers, but, well, who doesn't, right? I'll start with Astro. In my opinion, it's the best heal, just like objectively. Both in numbers and how it plays, how it mechanically works. The other two aren't as tight. Nowhere as tight, I think. Really, really smooth to play. I feel like it's the hardest healer to pick up because you have so many of globals. Like you have Opposition, Unconscious, Horoscope, Dignity, Intersection. But I feel like it's the easiest job to master actually. Like when you get into it, when you get comfortable with it, there is not much of a skill ceiling, to be honest. It's sad a little bit that it's not very complex, but it's like an issue with healers overall, that your DPS rotation is non-existent. I don't think Shadowbringer card changes were bad. A lot of people hated them. That's like they are all the same, right? But I think it's better because it's more consistent. Because like remember in Heavensward, waiting for balance on the opener, or like 20% balance, fucking balanced in Stormblood. That wasn't really great. I think it's fine as it is. It should stay this way. Like before you had 1 good card, 3 relevant cards, and 2 situational cards. And now you don't rely on like praying to Yevon for good cards. There is some issues with the job, but they're not super crucial. I'm not a big fan of sleeve draw changes. The thing that I don't like is that it doesn't line up with divination. Like it should be either 4 minutes or 2 minutes. Probably 2. It wouldn't break the balance of the jobs at all. Also, getting back to cards, the last change that it gives mana now is really needed. Like you lose so much mana. And the other thing is tooltips. Tooltips aren't great. Like you pick up the job, you have this wall of text, and what it says, like it has 2 effects: mitigation and regen, and like depending on the on your stance, like the effect lasts. Obviously, you can't write that down, but it's like really confusing to read. The way divination works, like some people also get confused by it. Like what is a seal? And like as you level the job and look at the tooltips, you can't really understand before you get to the spells itself. There is a similar issue with Barret. I'll get to it when I get to the Barret. Shield Astro is worse than Diurnal, in my opinion. But that's not exactly the stance problem. It's more about the balance of the shields and versus regen in the game. But this one is super strong. You heal like for so fucking much. Like if you go with a white mage, you can go Diurnal and not go Nocturnal because there is enough mitigation in the game to survive. And if you really need it, you have Neutral Sect. Neutral Sect is really good. Like it's a really good ability. Like good job Square again for coming up with this. I don't really know what can be changed. There is a lot of buttons, but they are all kind of important. Maybe you can add Major Arcana instead of, like you have Minor Arcana. Add Major Arcana. It's like obvious thing to do. I don't know. Like maybe an extra buff would be cool. Helios is kind of a dead button. You don't really press it too much. Like ideally you don't want to ever use it. And I've looked at the logs of like top Astros. You press the expected Helios like once or twice and never Helios. But you can't really remove it because of leveling, right? Like you need some raid healing before you get to level 42. But you could make it change into this, like upgrade. I don't know. But you don't have CU, you don't have, sorry, CU and CO. But would be cool if something happens to this. Benefic too, well, same thing, like you never use it. Also, speaking of Benefic, please remove this fucking trait. It's technically it's useful on transitions, right? You can prep a crit for Benefic, but really, where it matters. In Alex, I know when you get to the Alexander Prime, you can prep Benefic there during transition with Tethers because there is a buster right away. But that's like the only place. Maybe there is more. I've done some Savage Fates on Astro, but maybe there is more. I don't know. It's not important. It's mostly noob bait. Like you can rework it to make the game better for everyone, I feel like. What else? Yeah, Sinistry. It's weird. It's not very useful. It is useful at sometimes, like for tank swaps, it's a little bit useful, but at the same time, you never really cast GCD. Like you don't cast expected Benefic or Benefic 2 ever, like ever, actually ever, if you play the job properly. So it doesn't do anything. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know what you can do with it, but I feel like Sinistry is gonna be changed. Rework tooltip for CQ. Nightmare. What else? I would like the rotation to be like the DPS rotation more complicated, but I feel like it's not, like it's general thing with healers. Probably not gonna do it considering the changes they've made in this expansion. But although, like they said, they want healers to heal more, and we ended up with healers healing less because you rely on your cooldowns and off-globals so much. It's good that you rely on off-globals because like spamming Helios isn't very fun, but you also can't really do more. And the thing is, the dynamic of the game is different to WoW. Like in WoW, there is constant damage going out, right? Like healers always have to heal, and heals are not as strong as they are in this game. Like you can top people after a raid way and like cast an off global from each healer, even less. It's just not gonna work adding more damage to the game. Like imagine if you would get hit by like 30% of raid HP every, I don't know, 10 seconds. It just wouldn't work in this game. Like they want to make it, but like there is this whole thing with Trinity in game design with like tank healers DPS, and it's catering to that, and I don't know, it's not working in this game. Please revert it. I wanted to say that about like at the end when I talk about the healers, but well, I said it now. Anyway, next is White Mage. It's bad. I don't think it's a very good job, but it's not like Scholar's level of being bad. It's very easy to pick up and play. Reason being that your every spell heals for so fucking much, like you press a button and you top your whole fucking group. It has solid numbers, but there is some mechanical issues. Like you don't shoot yourself in the leg by bringing any of the healers. They're all balanced pretty well between each other. Like probably the most balanced role actually in the game. They're very close, which is good, but it's just annoying to play. Issues. Okay, so first of all, Misery is a DPS loss. On a dummy, it's a DPS loss. You need 4 GCDs, like you need to use Lilies 4 times, and then you need to cast Misery. So in 4 GCDs you get 900 per potency versus 4 Glares, which would be 1200. Buff Misery, that should not be a thing. 2 is that there is not enough weaving options. Like a size is 45 seconds. You can't really weave. It's like most of the issues are with the weaving. Like lilies are self-contradictory. theoretically, you don't want to use lilies in the fight ever. If you need to use a GCD heal, you use Medica 2 or Cure 3. You never want to use Medica 1 or Rupture. And same with Solace. It's Cure 2 heals for the same amount if you actually have to use Cure 2, which you shouldn't be. And Regen is more healing, it's 1200. And your co-heal, like you put it on a tank if you need to weave, or like after a tank buster, and your co-heal can deal with the rest. There is not enough incentive to use them. And you don't even want to use them because like using them is a DPS gain because of the misery, because of using worse healing spells. You use them, like there is obviously, like people obviously use them. There is some users, I'm sure, like main being to weave, but like to weave a spell, to not clip, to not lose a GCD, you are forced to lose to not clip, to not lose damage, you are forced to use a spell that subtracts the damage from you. The only real use when it's theoretical DPS gain, when you need to move and heal, which there is plenty of situations like that, sure, but other than that, you never want to use a spell that's like very contradictory to how a job works. Some people say like the skill ceiling of White Mage is finding options where to find these weaving options. And yeah, sure, there is mastery to that, but it's an unfinished, unpolished idea, and Square don't design fights around the fucking White Mages having to find weaving options. It's clunky. It should not be that way. And I have a solution to that. Like, give a spell that is instant, like other lily that consumes a lily, and instead of healing, it deals damage, like just 300 potency. That way, you can reliably convert your lilies into blood lilies, and you also have weaving options on demand. Like that solves pretty much everything. I don't think you need to have 1.5 cast time like Astros do. Like Astros need to have that, but on a White Mage it should be different. Like in that way, I don't think the job should be similar. The healer should be similar. What else? I'm gonna get Glare to. Hopefully we will get way to convert lilies. Maybe we will see a rework of lilies because they are not too great right now. Like these two spells are kinda dead. You really don't want to use them. Remove your proc, like the dreaded proc. It's not like Benefic has some uses. This one don't, because like it's supposed to save mana, but you waste more mana by having to cast it like 6 times on average to get a proc. And it heals less. You should not be using that. Like, just make it fucking direct upgrade. That's like the most obvious thing, but you know. No bait. Nice. I need some water for this. Hold up. Scholar. The worst job in the game. Period. It's alright in numbers. You heal a lot. You do good damage. You do raid DPS. You have pretty good raid utility, raid mitigation. That stuff is fine. That's very nice. But there is so much other issues. I'm gonna start with Fairies and how fucking unresponsible they are. In Stormblood, like you use your, I don't know, Whispering Down, and it goes off. Now it goes off like 1.5 GCDs later. It's... Sure, you can plan around it in Savage fights, but it's so fucking clunky, it should not be that way. Summoner have it better. You press your Eggy Assault, and it goes off like before your next GCD goes off. Yeah, like before the GCD finishes, sorry. Why Astro have it so bad? And like, if you're not forcefully placing it in the middle of the arena, you're kind of shooting yourself in the knee, because usually, like, I don't pay enough attention to it, but if I place it, it's gonna cast from there. But if I use heal, follow, and press a spell, it first needs to come to me and then cast a spell, so it's like even more delayed. It should not be that way. It really needs to be improved. Seraph is even fucking worse. It takes fucking forever for it to pop up, like, I don't know, 2 GCDs. It feels so fucking slow. And then Consolation also has a delay. Like, you can't properly react to damage with it. Like, something happened in the fight and something went wrong and there is extra damage, like, you can't react on Astra. And like, your whole skill set, tool set, is reactive. You react to damage. You don't really prep for damage. And like, but because of how everything is delayed, you're forced to like play around this clunkiness and use stuff in advance. Why is it even a separate button? Like, why do you need to summon Seraph? Like, I kinda get it that, like, you get Consolation, right? And the Fairy heals and shields tank. Like, it's basically Adlo every cast. But it's, like, you could make Consolation a single button. Like, it summons Seraph and it casts Consolation right away. It one less spell on the hotbar, so you can put something else in case I add more spells, and it works faster. Like, you Whispering Down changes to Angelic Whisper, I think. Angel's Whisper. But it's the same spell. Like, I don't know. Why is it this way? It's so not thought through. And they had like 2 years to do something about that, and they didn't. Other thing is energy drain. Remember when they fucking nerfed it from 150 potency to 100 so you heal more? It's so bad. Like, how to explain it? Like, you don't have weaving options. To weave, you need to use Ruin 2, which is 90 potency less. And then you weave energy drain and you get 100 potency back. So like, it's 10 potency gain. It's nothing. It's one crit. Like, you're still gonna use it because like you double weave it obviously, but it's so fucking little. It needs to be more. Also, I think it should give more mana. I think, like, maybe, I don't want to propose it, like, make spells cost more, but energy drain also give more mana. Personally, I wouldn't find that fun, but in general, it would make the job more complex and interesting. I don't know. I just said it's not going to be interesting. I don't know. But energy drain need to be buffed. And then weaving. Like, you very rarely need to use 2 healing spells in 1 GCD. Like, I don't know, put soil, Fey Illumination, right? That's all, like, Ruin, Recitation, Excog. That's 2 spells, but that's so little. Like, almost always you are forced to use Energy Drain to make it worth the GCD, the Ruin 2. It would be nice that it wouldn't feel like you're shooting yourself in the leg by doing that. I don't know how they're gonna fix it. Like, I don't think Broil should be 1.5 seconds. Why is this song here? I don't have any good proposals, but you need to give Scholar weaving options. Like maybe buff Ruin to like 250, buff Energy Drain, so that way it wouldn't feel like you're fucking, I don't know, shooting yourself in the leg, like I said. What else? Shielding. I don't play Scholar in real content, and I don't really know how good Scholars play, but I feel like Adlaw is kinda useless. You only wanted to use it for spread law, like you don't really want to shield tank. Like with proper cooldown management, they will survive. Even the Buster in 12 gate boss that hurts a lot. I think you can survive without Adlaw. There is kind of a cool thing that you can like do galvanize and catalyze. It's cool that it's a thing, but there's not much use to it, I feel like. Last rate is kind of a dead button. You really don't want to use it. Like you want to use Tether and Excog. And it costs like gauge, like it's such a waste of a fairy gauge. Like you want like, usually you want to like into soil and Excog and like energy drains. Like this is just that button. I'm gonna get to shields and like the whole thing about shields and the changes that they made. Because currently using a sucker or I expected Helios is usually a DPS loss, because the healing part is too little to heal and the shield part is too little to make a difference. There is cases where it's not true, like terminal relativity, you kind of want to pre-shield there, and there is like a lot of outgoing damage. To use heal properly, like you need a part where you get a use of both shield and the heal, and there is not enough of it. Before they announced the changes, I had this idea that Astro would have like Adlo and Sucker would shield only, and like you have some other buttons that can do direct healings that are just bad and you don't want to use them. And that's kind of what they did, they spread into like regen healers and shield healers. It's better than what it is now, but there is so many issues with it, like potential issues. Like first of all, you need to balance the game around leveling. You can't have shields only at the start, you need some healing, because like someone gets low, how do you heal them up? Other thing is format content dungeons. You like if you have like one healing spell, one single, like you have physic and suckers that heals the group. It's like it's gonna be so annoying to level Scholar before you get your other tool set. And 3 is how do you balance out the game around it. Like even if you make spells shield only, you need to make enemies do enough damage so the shield is worth a use. Like you need to have shields either stronger than heals to justify using them, because it's like a preemptive heal basically then, or you need to make bosses do enough damage so it one-shots you. There is like AoEs that one-shot you without mitigation shields or shields, but it's usually or, and you eventually outgear that damage. And how do you like balance with gear difference in mind? Like you can't make it too strong at the start, otherwise people won't be able to prog like first week without getting gear, or it again would become obsolete when you get the gear. I feel like balancing around like gear differences is so hard. It's like RNG in damage numbers, right? Healing numbers. With rippling on top of that, it's, I don't know, it's better than what it is right now. And that's what I had in mind, so like I'm kind of happy that I managed to guess it. but I'm ready for a disaster, basically. Also, I feel like healers should get DPS skills back. Like, as an Astro, it's fun to play because you have so many buttons to press. As a white mage, you're like legitimately a glare bot. Like the job itself is so easy that you're not getting distracted enough with other buttons to have the job feel interesting. Scholar is different because it's so fucking clunky, but like if you jobs should not be clunky. If it's not clunky, it's gonna be the same way as white mage. I feel like we should have some DPS skills back on healers. Other thing is stats. Piety and tenacity for tanks are awful. Like there is... It's probably a good thing to talk, like I could talk for an hour about stat differences and how they work and issues with them, but like we already have like 4 skills, like the speed, determination, direct hit, and crit. That's enough. Like bringing into piety or tenacity just makes some gear so fucking bad. And you almost don't need piety on healers, and you absolutely don't need tenacity on tanks. There is a potential for mana removal next expansion. I'm gonna talk about it when I get to... I don't remember, it's either casters in general, black mage. But you can remove mana because the only jobs that actually do proactively something with mana are black mage and dark knight. And both can be reworked to not rely on mana. So then you can just remove it and not make healers not have piety at all. And tanks don't need tenacity in the first place. I would like that stuff to be gone. Alright. Black mage. Coming from Scholar, that's the worst job in the game. Black mage, in my opinion, the best job in the game. It's pretty hard to pick up. It's a bit confusing how to play with how your stances work at first. And then it's confusing how to do them properly. And then the skill ceiling is fucking infinite. The standard 3 optimization, like if you want to account like raid buffs and stuff like that, is more complex than like the whole monk job, I think. And there is a lot of forbidden tech with like skipping Blizzard 4, lucid dreaming, transpose. I really like that stuff. Like when you pull something like that off, it's super cool because the opportunity cost is so big. But if it would be gone, I would not be sad. It's fine if it's gone because like the opportunity cost is too high. It's like only for the very best, like tip of the iceberg, tip of the cake players, and like for speed kills. What else? Gear actually matters for black mage, which is nice. In WoW, gear matters a lot because there is like so many different pieces, so many different stats. In this game, like all the jobs are kind of the same. I mean, like within the job there is usually not much variation, except for black mage that you can play either really fast, like I have 3600 spell speeds, like more with food, and there is other way that you go high crit and low spell speed. Both extremes are fine and work well, and like they are competitive with each other. It's nice that there is this difference, but I feel like it's making things harder to balance for. It probably wasn't like... I'm not sure if Square actually had this in mind or it's just like accidental that it happened. I'm glad that it is in the game, but I think it could be gone. And with some changes to mana, spell speed like Mage will be gone, which is sad because I really like fast Mage. It plays really smooth. What else was good about it? It's good because there is pre-planning to your rotation with how you use your ley lines, your triple cast, your sharp, your procs, but there is also a reactive part to it, like relying on your procs. Also polygloss to like thing you can pre-plan. Usually not a fan of procs because, well, they are random and annoying to deal with, but it's consistent enough on a black mage, so it's not an issue, unlike Bard. And it makes every pull unique. You're not exactly pressing the same buttons in the same order. Like the thing is, like, you basically, if you imagine the order of spells, the way you cast them, it's just, usually it's the same amount of procs and like roughly the same places, it's just they are shuffled around with some spells, which does not affect your DPS, just something you need to react to, and it is fun. I really like the aesthetics of the job, it's like animations of the spell and effects, it's like chef's kiss. It's like, I feel it's important to have the job look cool, right? Like Samurai have really cool spells as well, like Shoha has a cool animation. I'm not a big fan of Midari, for instance, like, but the GCDs are really cool. Comparatively, like Ninja GCDs are kind of boring. Yeah, and Monk too, like Monk has the worst animations, I think. Yeah, it's really good. It's fun to play. There is a lot of master. It's like, it's complex but not clunky. It's just a perfect job. There is some issues, not many, but there is some. Sharp, triple rarely aligns with double despair and mana font, and it's usually a DPS loss to hold it for despair, because you either want it for movement or you get an extra use of it by not holding it. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I don't think it's really something that you need to be dealt with, but well, it's mechanical integrity issue. Sharp is kinda useless. It's barely, just fucking barely a DPS gain. You mostly want it for procs, to have like an extra proc saved. It feels really, the job feels really bad before level 70 or even 80 because you don't have Xenoglossy, and Xenoglossy, which, like, it was good in Stormblood, the job, but Xenoglossy what made this job the best, I think. Still no Ultima, that's a big issue about the job, still no Ultima spell. What else? Blizzard 1 and Blizzard 2, where is it? Yeah, Blizzard 2, they are useless. And Fire 2, completely. Flare cast is too fucking long, like, I know why. I mean, no, not really. You can make it shorter and it would not break the job at all. Like, Despair is short, make it cast as long as Despair. Why? It's the longest cast in the game, except for Raises. Other thing is that your looping, it's kind of different. You can't really work with raid DPS because your Fire and Blizzard, Fire and Ice switching is the highest priority. Like, it makes no sense to sit for an extra time in Ice to wait for group burst. It's sad that it is this way. Yeah, I mean, you kinda can with like polyglots and procs, you can kinda. It's minor. Like, you can actually, I mean, I'm kind of wrong. You can kinda prepare for that. And I don't think it should be changed. It should stay the same way it is. Like, there is some other jobs that have self-alignment more important than group alignment, like Paladin, for instance. What can be changed? I actually have some good ideas about Black Mage, I think. First of all, Fire 2 upgrades to Flare, Blizzard 2 upgrades to Freeze, to give you extra slots on the hotbar. Like, I have two macros for IM. Oh, also IM is a really good fucking spell, I love it. Arguably even too strong. But anyway, they can be upgraded. I don't understand why they're separate skills. There is no need for them to be separate. And it prevents like noobs from pressing wrong buttons. Blizzard 1 can be upgraded to Blizzard 3. Like, if you fat finger Blizzard 1 instead of Blizzard 3, I mean, it's my fault for having them this close, or even having Blizzard 1 on the hotbar, but it just fucking kills your rotation, which is unfortunate. It's like not upgrades, it's side grades, but I don't fucking care. Nobody uses them. Other thing is mana rework. I feel like there is a potential to make the Black Mage work without mana at all. The reason being is, since you always have 10k mana, the mana part isn't really important. Assuming you have Umbralized 3 stacks, what you can do in every fire phase: 3 fires, fire 1, 2 healers, and despair. And like, depending, you can do more fillers, but like, you have extra time for Polyglot and Thunders. You can actually do up to 4, I think, if I remember correctly, and like, depending on triple and lines as well. But you have enough mana to 6 Fire Force, 1 Fire 1, Thunder, and Despair. That's like exactly how much mana you have. And since the amount of mana spenders is consistent, you don't really need mana. Like, you can have it that Astral Fire gives you Fire 4 stacks, basically, and Umbralize gives you 3 more stacks. This can be free. And this one, like, I don't know, let's say consumes all stacks. So like, you have, maybe this gives 4 stacks. This by default, this like, Astral Fire gives 3, this gives 4. So you do 6 Fire Force and the last one gets consumed by Despair. And like, you can do the same with Flare, or like make the Despair consume like 4 stacks, I don't know. And you switch to Ice to do, you do Blizzard 3, you do Blizzard 4, and come back to Fire. You already do that. If you get lucky with mana ticks, you are not obligated to do an extra filler basically in Ice. And I never pay attention to my mana. I'm not the best Black Mage. If it happens that I don't have enough mana, I just wait half a second and cast Fire 3. It's a DPS loss, but it's a very tiny DPS loss. There is not much need to mana. You can like rework stuff. Or like, for leveling, you can have like Blizzard 1 gives you like 1 fire spell. Yeah, this one gives 1 fire spell, this gives 3, this gives 4, basically. And like, this gets added on top, basically, the way it works now. It can work, and it's gonna make a job much more straightforward for many people. It removes mana tick issues with, well, mana ticks, and sometimes having to do extra casts where you maybe didn't want them. Yeah, I think it would be a cool idea. You can rework Dark Knight. Like, Dark Knight needs rework with stealth alignment and different delirium and different dark side. All of that suggests that, like, make some spells cooldowns instead of spammable. And that way you don't need mana. The last thing that you can say in defense of mana is raises on healers, but I already feel like raises on healers, like free raises on healers, are too strong. You can put them on the cooldown like black mage, sorry, not black mages, blue mages have. What else? What other suggestions I have? I feel like, yeah, Enochian. Currently, you use Enochian in the opener and you never lose it. Thanks to Umbral Soul. Umbral Soul is an amazing spell, by the way, like props to Square again. But I feel like there could be more to it. You could have a spell that consumes Enochian and maybe a Polyglot stack to cast a mega big nuke Ultima. Like you can make that Ultima. And if it's instant, you can pop Enochian right away, right back, and continue your rotation. And since it's on 30 seconds cooldown, it will always line up with your group as well, which is also nice. Other thing is, I feel like the job is missing, like if you do that, you probably want an off global that gives you a Polyglot stack. In case you like had to use Polyglot for movement and you want to cast Ultima, or if you want an extra Polyglot stack just for movement. Like that would just make the job more deeper and complex if you can consume Enochian, because currently it just sits there and you never lose it. The other thing that can be added is reverse freeze, but there is not much need to it, and like if they remove mana, that is absolutely not needed. Oh yeah, also if you remove mana scathe, it's just like free GCD for movement, whatever, if you like actually out of procs, but you should never be out of procs, I feel like. Yeah. Moving on. Red Mage. It's very newbie friendly, it's easy to pick up and not very hard to master, which is why you probably see so fucking many red mages. Acceleration change that it gives 3 stacks was good, because before it's just your job would never line up and you had like no opener. This is really good. Reprise is really fucking good as well. It's a good thing that they added it. There is some issues. Like, I'm not going to talk much about red mage, I don't play it much. Procs make the job inconsistent. You never line up with your group, with the group cooldowns. There is an obvious solution to it. Make it so the mana cap is like 120, so you have like an extra buffer, which also helps to the cases where you like you cast Stone and then you cast Weird Thunder, and your white mana is higher and you get a proc, but you can't, like if you use like the proc and cast Weird, it's gonna overcap you. Like that's a really annoying part, and the higher buffer you have, the better the job will have, because it's going to be more consistent like with itself. And I don't feel like it's gonna break the combo, like having extra, it's gonna be fine, I feel like. Maybe there is some cheeky stuff with Manification, but like Manification could give you a flat amount instead of doubling. The other issue is Embolden. Embolden, it should give all damage. Like Brotherhood was changed to Embolden as well. And like it reduced, like look at this tooltip, like both effects are reduced by 20%. Why? I don't know. Reward it, rework it. What can be added is a spell that consumes proc for like, I don't know, maybe mana or a massive hit, which would remove the issue with like having procs coming into a melee combo, or like having 2 procs even going into melee combo, and adds depth to the job. Also, these cooldowns are dumb. Please make them reasonable. Hello, please. Other thing is, this should be same potency, I feel like. Like it's there is no thinking in using them. You either jump off arena or not, and it doesn't depend on your skill or like there is no player agenda in this. It depends on the arena only. That's dumb. I'm not sure what you can add to the job. I don't know. Follow up to Jolt, to the Scorch, like, I don't know, impact changes. I don't know. I don't play Red Mage enough to have reasonable suggestions. I feel like the job, it's fine to play. It's not very good in numbers compared to Black Mage and Summoner, like it's the weakest caster. The utility is nice, but I feel like it should be removed, and it should be removed from Summoner as well, by the way. Like, if you're gonna remove mana, these should definitely be gone, because it's too strong how many people you can see, you can dual cast raise. But yeah, that's all. Summoner. This was the last job that I learned how to play, and like I'm still not very familiar with it. I have many friends who say this is it's a really easy job, but I don't know, as a melee, this job makes my brain hurt because you have so many moving parts. I get the idea how it works with like distinct phases, yeah, like, and you loop on a minute and you have like basically 15 seconds phases, like you have Bahamut, out of Bahamut, Phoenix, out of Phoenix. But there's so much moving parts, it's crazy. It has very good numbers though. It's almost as good as Black Mage. It has a raise, which is broken. It has a raid buff, and it has a cell shield, which is nice. It's probably very fun to move when you understand, like, if you're a really good summoner, it's probably very fun to play. But I don't know, I might be wrong. There is not much I can say about it. I really don't play it enough. There is some stuff that could be changed. Like, first of all, Ruin 2 costs to leave. Like, if we keep mana, why is it 200? Like, it's unfair to every other caster in the game, including healers. The other is AoE on the packs. You can't really use these two spells, Siphon and Pain Flare, because it's like have recast the same as cast. Just make it 1.5 seconds the same way Summoner, not Summoner, Astro have it. It would be fine. It would not break the job. I don't have very exact proposals, like I said. Would be nice to how do I English? Would be nice for the job to be more interesting outside of Bahamut and Phoenix, but I don't really know what to add. Like, we're probably gonna see some spell upgrades and something like that. I don't know. Anyway, next up coming is Blue Mage. Yes, I'm going to talk about Blue Mage. It's a limited job, sure, but Blue Mage is the best, sorry, not the best, the most fun content in the game, the Blue Raids, I feel like. Like, here is my Morbol I can show off. She killed Brew Justice twice and started. I don't need to brag. It's very, 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 very fun to play. Before they added Heavensward raids, it was kinda shitty, like with IRR stuff, but it was pretty fucking good in Heavensward, and now that it's boosted to level 70, it's really fucking good. The raids are fun, and it's also fun to do content solo with Basic Instinct. Also, you can play Blitzball with spells that push people around. I don't remember how it's called. That's like, if you can play Blitzball, it's easily the best job, sorry. Black Mage isn't the best, Blue Mage isn't the best. It has a lot of issues, but nonetheless, it's still really fucking good. Red Esther. Frog Legs is bad. It's a casted provoke, it's a GCD, it's a long cast, and it doesn't provide any extra aggro. It works like old provoke, but it's just top aggro +1, which, like, it's easy to rip aggro back. Diamondback, you can cancel it. I tanked for my Marble, and it's such a fucking annoying thing. Like, it's probably intentional, so if people can actually cancel it, but I feel like it does more hurt than it does good. Tank cooldowns should not be 2 seconds. They should be like second long or instant. Like, it's so annoying to use cooldowns. I mean, when I tanked it like before level 70 spells and I only had Diamondback, but I can understand the whole job is gimmicky, and this is really gimmicky, but it's not very fun, to be honest. Like, sometimes gimmicky is fun, but that's not the case. Tooltips. Tooltips are fucking dumb, and I fucking hate them. Peculiar Lie says that it shares cooldown with Off Guard, so you can't have both spells, but Shock Strike shares reset timer with certain Blue Mage spells like Night Bloom, same. I'm sorry, it doesn't even say that it shares cooldown, but it does share a cooldown with both ends, and both ends says it, but not Night Bloom. This doesn't, like, just make it fucking say. Generally, tooltip in this game are really fucking bad. Please make them good. Thank you. Too many 220 potency skills that are all kind of pointless. Sharpened Knife is the best because you can weave. And other than that, you use, like, they're all the same. Like, Blaze is fine. I have 4 tones for slowing orbs and Brew Justice. Like, it's exactly the same, except you need to target it. How's it called? Not Gust Slash. The Sonic Boom. It's less potency. Like, I feel like we're gonna eventually get a spell that's ranged, 1 second cooldown, 1 second cast time, and 220 potency. Like, it's like one of those things, like, just fucking add the spell. It's not gonna ruin the job. The way it is doesn't make things more interesting, to be honest. Although I can't appreciate the melee caster. Maybe not. I don't know. But there is, like, just too many 220 spells. I feel like they're adding them just to fill up the logbook, and you can't do much with them. Anyway. Phantom Flurry, the tooltip is again very hard to understand. It works like Flamethrower, where it ticks every second instead of every 3 seconds, like every other dot. But without external tools, you don't know about it. Like, how am I supposed to know that? Like, if it's 2 potency every 3 seconds, it's worse than a sharpened knife. The tooltip isn't clear. Like, the Flamethrower and Phantom Flurry should show numbers, I feel like. Feel like Moon Flute and Rose should be like 1 second casts as well, because you have so many of globals in the opener, you kinda need those to be shorter. Healers are missing rate mitigation other than Conk and Gobskin. Like, I think healers need some other rate mitigation cooldown that doesn't stack, so they can't stack it together. Also, like, Mighty Guard should have a shorter cast time for the same reason as Tank Busters, because, like, there is some places where you want as a DPS to cast it, but it's really tight to cast it, and like Earthshakers in Bahamut. You can survive without Mighty Guard with a heal or Devour, but like, the whole idea of Blue Mage, that it's flexible, you can do things in many different ways, and putting Mighty Guard and running out is really tight. Like, it should be just 1 second. White Way Rippling. Rippling is the thing that the AoE effects don't apply at the same time, like in any other game. They tick on every enemy 1 by 1. It's probably a technical limitation, but White Wind has it so much worse than every other spell. Like, you can actually see the delay is noticeable between first target hit and the last target hit, and sometimes you can have people die due to that because, well, it just didn't hit them in time, which like for AE spam, it's unfortunately like double Mega Holy in Alex 12 or J waves, although you should not be getting to J waves and Brew Justice. Anyway, limit break. Where is limit break? Like, you are a caster. Like, it would be cool to have limit break based on your mimicry, but like just a caster LB would be fine, I feel like. But yeah, that's like minor issues with some spells. Like, overall it's really fun. Other than missing spells on healers, it's fine, I feel like. What you can do is, like, I don't think they will buff this job, like do anything about this job for endwalker. Probably later. But in general, I feel it would be nice to have more distinction between roles, I feel like, because you have DPS, healer DPS, and tank DPS. Like, only the main tank is the one that doesn't really do damage. Well, even now, like, they actually buffed Mighty Guard, so it's less of a damage reduction, because Aggro Management was really annoying. That was a good change. But yeah, make more distinction. Like the thing is, like, if they boost the job to level 80 and DPS are gonna get a bunch of new off globals, like, you already don't have enough buttons, considering that you need a lot of like raid stuff for dealing with the fights. And it's just gonna be like, you just throw out the worst cooldowns like Shock Strike or like Glass Dance, I don't know, which would not be very fun. Like, some skills maybe should be just role restricted or be like much more effective. There is already spells like that, like Pomp Cure, for instance. Like, there just should be more of them. Another thing is cooldowns. They are really weird. Triple Trident is 90, this is 2 minutes, this is 90, this is 90, oh sorry, 60. This is 2 minutes, like, wasn't there something on 45? Like, make them remove 90 seconds cooldown from the game. Like, in general, they should not be a thing. Also, unfix blue mage wall climbing. If you know what I'm talking about, you know how sad that it's not a thing anymore. Overall, casters are in a pretty good spot. Red mage is falling behind a little bit, but that's like a number issue. And like, to fix it, there is potency scaling. You can adjust the like, it's a linear representation of your damage. You can adjust potency scaling for red mage. Like, just do it. Same way for ranges. Unlike melees, casters actually have movement tools, which is really fucking great. Summoner has too many. Red mage is maybe too little. Black mage is just perfect. Mana is dump, remove it. Gear sets are not compatible. If you remove mana, they will be compatible, which is nice, because like, I have a fast mage, so my summoner has like 2.2 seconds cast time, or like red mage need to have like 2.5. Like, it just, job doesn't work. You drift so fucking much because of it. But yeah, pretty good. And lastly, we're getting to ranged. In general, I feel like this is the worst role, because it's still always DPS and you only bring them for raid bonus, and it's like even debatable, so you can maybe even swap them out, but anyway. Machinist is the best ranged job, I feel like. It's really weird before we get to level 80, but well, that's not the biggest of issues. But other than that, it's like pew big damage. Like, Machinist actually can, on raw DPS, they can outdamage ninjas. But in raid DPS, they are like much more, like a lot behind. Not too much though, like maybe buff them like 5%, but Machinists have it the best. Your cooldown lineup is a little bit weird, but I don't play too much to speak comfortably about it, but I feel like it's hard to why do I have skill speed. Oh, I see. Anyway, it's kind of hard to fit everything into like trick, let's say. And don't know what you can do about it though. Wildfire and Hypercharge are really annoying that you need to use them late in the GCD. Like here, when it goes to here, like it's the same issue as like internal release, No Mercy, Delirium, Blood Weapon. Like make it work like, make Hypercharge work like Bunshan. It wouldn't really work for Wildfire, and I don't know. Make it linger for like half a second more, maybe. Some skills already linger, like Delirium lingers on the target for a long time, to kinda does too. Reassemble, I don't understand why it's 55. It's probably to prevent drifting. But you can like just make the job loop better on 20 minutes. Like there is a weird part where you have drill and you want to go into Hypercharge, but you can't, like you have drill and anchor. Like anchor is 40, why is it 40? Make it 30. And you need to go into Hypercharge, but you also have barrel stabilizer. Like it mostly me being an experienced with job, like actual players know how to deal with it, but it's kind of clunky. Like the cooldowns are really weird. Like I feel like this should be 30, this should be 30 or a minute, I don't know. Flamethrower should show numbers, like I said earlier. And the big change that I think the job needs is battery gauge rework, because now it's a glorified 1 minute cooldown. You use it with raid buffs, with trick every minute, and there is no thinking, because you don't have it overcap within minute, and otherwise it like drifts away. If you like cap it to 100, you need more gainers for the job gauge and some other small spenders, I feel like, to make it interesting. I hope that's what they are going to add next expansion. Man, my throat is so fucking sore, I've been talking for so long. Bart. I enjoy playing the job, weirdly enough, but I think mechanically it doesn't work. Like that's the only job that doesn't work within itself that I enjoy playing for some reason. It has really low damage. It's supposed to be this like support job, but it just doesn't provide enough. Like your AD DPS is just way too low. You're shooting yourself in the leg by bringing a Bard. Your utility is Nature's Minne, which is used only in Adex. And in Adex, Bard is actually good because 2 targets. And multi-dotting. But other than that, you just need bigger numbers. Fucking mobility attack Zulu. Issues. Wise Raging strikes 80 seconds. It drifts all the way around fucking and doesn't line up with your group. Apex Arrow is the dumbest and laziest skill they added this expansion. It's so fucking dumb. Please rework it. Soul Gauge is dumb. You wait until it's full and you use it. You don't line it up. Dumb. Aramis Pain is stupid. It's bad. Like it's the worst stance you have and one you spend the least time in. Also because it lasts like... first of all, tooltip. Really hard to understand. And it makes you have variable GCD timing. I feel like variable GCD timing should not be a thing. Like the way Monk used to be with Tornado Kick, how you reset your Greased Lightning. It's just so fucking annoying you having different GCD timing. I feel like it should not be a thing. I feel like if they should rework this to do something else. Battle Voice should not require a song. It's dumb, it's clunky, it serves no purpose. There is triple Bloodletter memes. And like that needs to be fixed. I have an idea, I'll talk about it soon. Big tooltip issue. Now it shows that there is a 40% chance to grant the repertoire proc. Before you get your upgraded dots are level at 64, the song show 20% chance. There is no trait that upgrades the proc chance to 40. It's not on the dots, it's not on the skills, it just changes and absolutely nothing in the game mentions it. How are you supposed to know about that? Like, I learned it by accident when I was talking about a bard from my Alex Ultimate group, and like I was leveling a job and like ask him how do you feel about change from crit-based repertoire proc to like just pure random, and because 20 feels too low, and he said like, what do you mean 20? It's 40. And I was like flabbergasted, because how am I supposed to fucking know that? Again, tooltips in the game, please fucking fix them. Another issue is dogshit AE. Only Mage's Ballad buffs you AE. Well, I guess Aramis Payon kinda does. But, like in general, AE is really annoying. You need to dot, you need to multi-dot. Like, basically what you need is Bane, that summoners have. And make Mage's Ballad pitch perfect to shoot in a line, I feel like. That way every song would have a use. And it would be much better. There is also a really annoying part where you like hold your Mage's Ballad up until the very last second, hoping for an extra proc, and like you do a GCD and like then it procs late into GCD and you have like 1 second left and you want to shoot pitch perfect, but you also need to use Iron Jaws to refresh dots. Like, that part is so annoying. I don't think, with the current design of the job, I don't think it can be fixed. What you can do is make songs like 35 seconds. Also, why they are 80 seconds? Like, it's dumb. You loop on. I don't even remember how the buff was. Like, basically, this doesn't line up with itself. But what I wanted to say is that you can make the song on a 30 seconds cooldown, but last 35 and make them stack. So you can put on a second song at the end. There's probably some issues with it with the opener, but well, and it's not my job to figure it out. And no, generally the job is inconsistent with procs. It's like very annoying to deal with them. What can be done? Rework, Epic Zero, Dogshit skill. Raging Strike should be 60 or 90. Like, that's like the only spell I can tolerate being 90, because your songs loop on 30 seconds. Well, they're 80, but they're kinda 90. You know what I mean if you play the job. Barrage should have the same cooldown as this, but not 80 for the same reason. Rework Payon, like I said, or make it work the whole fucking cycle, so it like lasts throughout all songs, so that you always have the increased GCD. Also, like in general, range jobs want 2.5 GCD, I think, all of them, and I don't enjoy 2.5 GCD. It's like too slow in my opinion. Bloodletter needs to have charges, maybe like even 3 charges, so you don't overcap, so no triple bloodletter beams. Pitch Perfect needs to have force charge, but no extra damage on force charge, so you don't overcap, because you can't avoid overcaps on it, and like for the same reasons as Bloodletter basically. Yeah, I mentioned pretty much everything. What else new can be added? I don't know. I feel like they're gonna rework the job from scratch again, and it's gonna be fucking bad again. Also, another thing I forgot to mention about Summoner, like I feel like they're gonna rework the whole job again and fuck everything up, because like it's such a tight balance now that everything works together. But yeah, well. Anyway, last job, and I'm fucking dying from speaking so much. Easiest range job, I feel like, easy to play well. It's not very hard to play optimally, it's annoying to play optimally. It's decent overall, but really outshined by Machinist, I feel like. The reason why it's annoying to play optimally is that because you need to hold stack, you want to sit on 3 fans and like 80 gauge and use everything like during development. It's very, very, very annoying, I feel like. Like I have a friend like ranged from our static rated on Dancer for 2 tiers and said like without Ninja and like having more reasons to like line things up, it's just boring. Improvisation isn't very useful. I don't know, maybe make it like ley lines and short. That it drops a puddle on the ground and people give you stuff. Close position I feel like it should be consistent within giving you procs between jobs, because now it's like a crit or a G or like a GCD, a chance, and like some jobs are faster, therefore better. The other thing that I would like to see is incentivize partner swapping, because theoretically you want to swap partners. Like you give it to Ninja on the start, because or like Machinist if you don't have a Ninja, because they have the highest burst in the game, and after that you give it to Monk, Samurai, or Black Mage that have a more consistent rotation and higher damage output, so they benefit more from that, because Ninja DPS outside of trick is really low. I feel like the next expansion we're gonna get a skill that adds 50 gauge, like clip it and ship it, I'm almost 100% sure. Like basically an extra generator and maybe an extra small spender, I don't know. Would be cool that you wouldn't have to hold your stuff, but I don't really know how to implement it, like actually no idea. But overall I kind of don't care about the job. It's not very fun to play and it's like for role players mostly. Anowant is really good though. Anyway, ranged, like overall, between, actually no, like overall they lag behind because of the infamous mobility attacks. It's dumb, it's not a thing. Just make the job more interesting to play, because they're really simple to play, except maybe for Machinists, but like Party and Dance are really easy to play on a very good level. Make the jobs more interesting and like make them do more damage. And Machinist is too far ahead from the other two. Add some skill speed scaling, so you wouldn't have to play at fucking 2.5 GCD. It sucks. Yeah, I think that's it. Like, I spent 2.5 hours running around my striking dummy. In general, like the notion of if it doesn't work too well, cut it out, rework it, stays. Less new skills, more upgrades, I think. Don't clutter the hotbar even more. Remove positionals, remove mana, rework tooltips, remove 90 seconds cooldowns, potions should be 4 or 5 minutes. Okay. I'm pretty excited to watch FunFest to see the job stuff changes. Probably will not know everything, like how much I guessed up until actual patch notes for the expansion, but well, maybe I will see some of it. Anyway, bye. Oh, actually, maybe I'm thinking before I go, maybe I'll one day do like a critique or like review or like a tier list of all fights in the current expansion. That could be cool. Anyway, bye.